That's it. I just left my job. This is crazy. I cannot believe it. I was making a little bit over $220,000 as a software engineer. I honestly thought that I made it, that I was on the right path to have a lot of money. But something changed. I learned 3 lessons and I realized that I was wrong, that what I was doing was not the right thing. I realized that I was going deeper and deeper into the rat race. So I decided to quit. It's crazy because before the pandemic, I was spending 2 hours per day in traffic. And when I was done with work, I was going back home and I was able to spend an hour with my daughter. And I was doing the same thing again the next day. Just work, see my daughter. And I seriously thought that that was it. That for the next 14,000 days, that would be my life. That was it till I would retire. And when I was an employee, I was excited about all that. But when I realized that really 3 things was more exciting than the work by itself, and the 3 things are going to lunch, going to the bathroom, and leaving the office. I know it's crazy, but I'm sure some of you that are watching right now have also those 3 highlights during the day. And you know what? It doesn't have to be that way. So, when I think about it, the pandemic hit, the world changed, and it will never be the same. So I was able to work remotely, and it was really nice. It was the first time since my daughter was born that I was able to spend more than an hour per day with her. I also spent a lot of time reading, and this is where I realized that I had 2 options. Option 1, continuing what I was doing, just like a lot of people are doing actually. Playing it safe and continue making all this money. And option 2 was to stop playing it safe and find a way to be happier, being an entrepreneur. This option would be really hard and I would be really lonely sometimes. You would take also a huge risk not having this fixed income every month. Let me tell you how I still decided to take the second option. Here's the first lesson that I learned. So many times I was working until 8, 9 p.m. Sometimes I was not even sleeping because I had to finish an assignment. Like the world will explode if I was not bringing it back the day after. And it never really bothered me until one night. It was our 5th anniversary and I was planning something really, really nice with my wife. Fancy dinner at the best restaurant, nice suite. I just really wanted to make it nice. So we are eating when I receive a phone call from my boss. I decided to not answer, but after 5 missed calls, I knew something was wrong. So I picked up the phone and he told me that we had an emergency and I needed to look into it right now. I told him, look, here's what I'm doing right now. I cannot help you. I'm sorry. He was really upset. And he told me that if I was not fixing this issue right now, well, it will look really bad on me and that it will show him that I just didn't care that much about this company and about my job. I was so upset, but I went to the car and picked up my laptop. By the way, it was not the first time that something like this happened. It's not the first time that I was having an emergency. So here I am at the restaurant trying to understand what the issue is. I was so frustrated. It took me an hour to fix the issue. That ruined the dinner and the concert and our night. Here's the lesson that I learned that night. If you don't build your dream, then someone else will hire you to build their own. I realized that in my case, if I was continuing building someone else's dream, then every hours of my time, even after works, belonged to them. And not only that, my feelings, my reaction, and my relationship will belong to them. Now, I know that sounds maybe crazy or a little extreme, but this is really how I felt after that night. I was doing something so frustrating and unsatisfied that it became really painful. What was funny about all that is that it was not enough to convince me at that time to quit. I guess I needed something else. So here's the second lesson. One of my colleagues, a really nice guy, he was always positive and smiling and joking, and then one day he was in the office. I didn't really think anything of it, so after 3 days he wasn't back. So I checked his calendar and nothing was on it. So I called him a couple of times and no answer. I called him again at the end of the day and his wife answered and she was crying. And she told me that he was at the hospital. He had a heart attack. She told me that it was pretty bad and that he needed surgery. Unfortunately, he didn't make it. I was really sad, and a lot of people in the office were really sad. 2 days after him passing away, his job was already posted. He was replaced 2 weeks later, and that was it. It was like he was never in this building. And I understand that the company will not stop running because of one person passing away. I get it, I understand. But it was so weird. It was someone that I saw every day, someone that you were laughing with. So here's the second lesson that I learned. We are all replaceable. Every single one of us. This is when I felt more motivation than ever before. I knew I needed to really start planning and start thinking about the second option. But I needed the third lesson to be 100% sure. You know, I was really excited when I started my career because my parents were really poor. And I was really excited about this life that I was building. My parents and my family were really proud. I had a great job. I was able to help my parents and my siblings. All the sacrifices that we made were not for nothing. It was all worth it. So I was really happy. You know, my goal was to make a lot of money and it was working. But after a couple of years, this feeling was gone. I was not excited anymore. Every time I was going to the office, I was sad. What I was doing was meaningless. I was putting so much time and effort into doing something, and yet everything that I was doing felt like I was not doing anything. And then the pandemic hit, and all my family had COVID, all of them. Thank God they're okay. I realized everything was so fragile. And this is when I started thinking, if I died tomorrow, what would be my legacy? Would I just be coding, creating softwares, and make a lot of money? And I was thinking to myself, there has to be more. So this is when I realized my third lesson. And this is what was missing for my career, a purpose. I can tell you that if you don't have a purpose in life, then you will be part of someone else's purpose. And I'm not saying that there is something wrong with not having a purpose in life, as long as you're good with that. If you made a decision on your own, no problem. But I was not fine with that. I feel like I wanted to give more to the world, something more meaningful. I wanted to rediscover things without thinking about being rich first. The truth is that money impacts all of us, and unless we control money, money will control us. That's why I realized that the best thing I can do is understanding money and use my background and my knowledge to educate and help people to improve their personal finance. Of course, I was really lucky to be in this position. That allowed me to quit. But it took me years to finally take the decision because I felt a lot of pressure. Who would take care of my family? So for me, quitting felt wrong. That I couldn't even stay at a job for a couple of more years. A job that was paying me so much money, right? Just felt like I was being really ungrateful. So believe me, I understand. And it's scary. And I was scared. Society is expecting us to have a job, to buy a really nice car and a really nice house. But that was not making me happy anymore. Because, we care too much about what other people think. So we continue. But it's not worth it. Those golden handcuffs are not worth it. Honestly, I have to thank this pandemic for allowing me to learn these lessons, because without going through this, I would probably continue. So I almost have to thank this awful experience. So this is why I created this YouTube channel, to understand personal finance, investing, and entrepreneurship, and making it easy to understand and fun to explain. Because if there is one thing that the education system failed us, but all of us, it's understanding the power of money. And that's the truth for everyone. You know, the power of money is not that you can buy whatever you want. The real power of money is that you are able to buy your freedom, to spend your time whatever you like, how you like it, when you like it, where you like it. For those of you that are still watching, I just wanted to let you know that it's okay to be scared. You cannot grow unless you're uncomfortable, until you're scared. If you join me on this crazy journey, you will constantly feel like you cannot do it. And you will have a lot of people to remind you that. They will tell you that you will fail. And you know what? It's okay. I can tell you that one of the worst feelings ever is to not try and have regrets. And if you're not ready to try, that's okay. Take this time right now. Ask yourself the right question and start planning, to start thinking on how you can take this step. But if you're asking yourself, when is the best time to do this? Well, let me tell you something funny. There's not a best time. You will never find the best time. I left my job when my wife gave birth to our twins. Do you think it was the best time? You probably think that I'm crazy and that it was really the worst time I could pick. But what I can tell you right now is that I'm really, really happy.